Welcome in to 11 Personnel presented by Monticello Bank. I'm Nick Roush. He's Adam Luckett. We are just a few days away from Super Bowl Sunday, which means things have slowly calmed down in the world of Kentucky football, but recruiting is heating up. We got a commitment today. Got some other significant recruiting news, and the spreadsheet is live, so we've got plenty to discuss tonight. But first, Adam Luckett rocking the Reds hat.
That's right.
Suarez bringing you back?
Happy Gino. Happy times.
I know that the Reds are accused of being passive when it comes to player acquisitions. Was this enough to scratch that itch for you, Mr. Luckett?
Yeah, I think that was the one big thing they hadn't touched on was just they needed a bat in the middle of the lineup, and he was one of the best ones available on the market. So at the end of the day, you could say, well, it's only here because he played here, got lucky, older, can't play defense, yada, yada, yada. But they ended up getting one of the best available options. So when you got to the finish line, you got one of their bigger needs. They addressed the bullpen, which I think was the other big need. So you have to, knowing what they're playing with, which is, they're a small market club. They don't have trillions of dollars to spend on players like some other organizations.
They don't have Dodger money.
So I was happy I think they've got a chance to really compete, like legitimately compete for the division title and to host a playoff series and potentially win a playoff series. And so that's what you're kind of looking for, I think, going into the offseason. And I think they accomplished that.
I like the clip of him and Jim Day seeing each other again for the first that Pete, you gotta love Jim Day.
Yeah, just that the team becomes instantly more likable with him, and then the Ellie stuff, and then Francona, I think for the most part is pretty likable. So yeah, I think as a team wise, they're going to be, I think, pretty fun to watch this year. And so that baseball season is a lot about just the journey. If you're actually going to follow a team,
you
want to be happy more than just miserable watching games all summer. So I think they're going to be an enjoyable bunch to watch, which they weren't that most of the time last year, where I think this year could be more enjoyable.
They were let's score 12 runs or 1 run last year.
Well, I looked up their game log just to kind of scroll through it a couple nights ago, just to jaunt my memory what the season was like. Within the first 10 games, they lost 3 consecutive games, 1-0. That was just kind of the year. It was just pull your eyes out, or gouge your eyes out, pull your hair. And so hopefully we don't have to deal with that anymore. But that was like an omen of things to come. The pitching is good enough to take them places, but the offense is just terrible. But I think it's got a chance to be better this year. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, Luckett's fired up for baseball. He's pumping it up too.
This is pump it up content. And now we're getting some more baseball talk here on 11 Personnel. Love it.
Well, how'd the first show go? You and Derek Terry, right? How was the pilot?
I think it went well. I think people really liked it. I think baseball's going to get into it's weird, the baseball season, right? Because it starts, people are excited that it's starting. It's like, why? Oh, forget they play baseball in the winter.
Right.
This is crazy. And then March gets here and everyone forgets about it, right?
Mm-hmm. And then you show up in SEC play.
But that's when the SEC play starts. Everyone forgets about it when the league play. The first SEC weekend, I believe, is SEC tournament weekend. So you forget about it, and then the Final Four weekend comes and goes, and you're like, oh, they've already played, however many. It's almost like the NBA, where you kind of it starts in October, and then you look up, it's Christmas, and then you look up again, it's February, it's Super Bowl week, and it's trade deadline, and then you're like, oh my gosh, they only got 30 games left. And that's kind of how college baseball is. But it's a highly anticipated season, I think, for UK. They have some real pieces, I think, this year, and I think they could be fun to watch. I think the offense got a chance to be a lot better, and we're going to be covering it every week here at KSR. So definitely excited about that. It seemed like people really enjoyed just the baseball talk, and I think there's a lot of excitement about this baseball team. And so and I think people, I mentioned this on the podcast, but having the tournament games at home, the series at home,
and people
getting a taste of that, It was just
You
like,
want
this is
more.
cool. This is
Yeah.
fun. Yeah, you just want more of that. That was because it's cool. It's cool. It's June. There's nothing else going on. Like, you go to the ballpark, like real game with stakes on the line. When you get in those series, they're entertaining. The postseason, Omaha's cool. Like it's cool to be a part of, and I think Kentucky fans got a taste of that, and they want more of it.
Kick the season back a month, where you're going through July, and I know that some are like, yeah, but school's out, so like it's a summer sport. They play it in the summer. I know they got all their stupid like Cape Cod leagues and all that other stuff that they got to do. It's like, well, just play the real games.
I'm glad you bring up calendar because there is a lot of talk about the college football calendar right now.
Yeah.
And what they're going to do with it. People are upset about, the playoff dates for these next 2 years, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we're headed to the portal being in. I don't know if what's going to happen with the playoff, but I do think, or what's going to happen with the week 0 if they're ever going to move. But I do think we're headed to one portal window, like in March or April, and then moving the signing day out of February. It's going to be weird because you've always wanted to like turn the page quickly to your next team in college football.
Yeah.
But NFL doesn't do that. Like they get 3 months off essentially before. Right, they get 3 months off. They do the draft for 2 to 3 months, and then once the draft happens, it's April, and then that's when all the football stuff starts. I think you could see something similar. I don't think people really loved how this worked out this year. The calendar, it was just crazy, right? Like they got December. December was deader if you weren't playing, but you had to get through the signing day, and then you had to get through then January was just ridiculous with the portal and hitting the road for recruiting. So it was like, it was crazy for us. Like it was crazy for us. I can't imagine like being in the the thick of it in a football facility. That had to just be
nuts,
like, ridiculous. Yeah.
I'm glad you brought up the playoff calendar though, because I believe it was Josh Pate who did the math, and week 11 is
I saw that.
Is the exact middle between week 1 and the national championship. Week 11. That's how much time passes. It's a bit much. Although I will say, I liked initially that it felt like it drug out just enough. That wild card weekend that had the playoff games leading into it, I enjoy that weekend quite a bit. So like if we can keep it there, having college football playoff catered to Thursday night NFL football, very silly. I don't quite understand. Oh, hey, SEC Mike's on here.
The whole NFL college football argument is just unique. College, like they're in bed, like college football's in bed with ESPN with a playoff, but ESPN also wants all the NFL content, right? Yeah. They're doing that, like, I don't know if merger is the right word, but like NFL media, their networks being consumed by Mickey Mouse, all of that. So you don't want, there's part of it you don't want to, you got
to cater to them a little bit.
Shit where you eat, for lack of a better term. So like, you've got to like, play both sides of that. So, and it's been proven like going against the NFL, it's not a good idea.
No, not ideal.
Especially in their playoffs, right? Like, they're just crapping out 50, 60 million. Now a lot of people don't care about that, but that does matter to the people who are putting these games on TV.
No, I believe the Thursday night game where New Year's Eve falls on the calendar this year would have been that one this year that was a bunch of deadbeat teams with like, it was Chiefs Raiders, I want to say, and they didn't have Mahomes and the Raiders sucked. Or it might have been Chiefs Broncos, and the Broncos were sitting all their players because they had the 1 seed, and the Chiefs didn't have Mahomes. So it was kind of like a wet fart. But hey, could have been Travis Kelce's last game with the Chiefs. I'm glad you brought up the mouse though, as we've just kind of like talked our way into this podcast, because the mouse, look, we mentioned it a lot, but we were kind of just guessing what it would mean. We knew the dollar figure for the new ESPN deal. $1 billion deal. But Big Ten, they went and they got all of their 17 media partners, and they were like, see, our deal's even bigger now. But we're finally seeing the receipts look it. And the receipts, they're pretty good. The total overall bill was $1 billion that the SEC is distributing to its schools. I'm bad at math, but it was around $800 million. So adding an additional, that's 25% increase, give or take, right? And last year schools got about $52 million. This year, $72 million. Once again, I'm not good at math, but that's what, 40%, give or take. So, pretty good time, right? As the revenue sharing is hitting, that you're getting an extra $20 million a year. You know what else costs $20 million a year? Revenue sharing.
Football roster. Yeah.
So the timing of it worked out well, and I thought we would be around this ballpark like it. I did not think that it would mirror so closely together to one another. It's like, oh, they actually got almost exactly $20 million more dollars, just as the bottom line started needing $20 million more dollars. That's why people want to be in these big leagues, because it's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, and over time, we're going to see that play out on the field.
Yeah.
Like, those are just resources you can't. Just like, I think Kentucky basketball is a perfect example. Like, it's not going great this year, right? But if they keep outspending the competition year after year after year after year, eventually, even if you're bad at it, I'm not even saying Mark Pope's bad at it. Even if you're bad at it, eventually you're going to just luck your way into having the best team.
Well, and you know what?
Spending that money.
Outspending is probably what's keeping the boat afloat, because normal year, if
like
all those guys got hurt, you're screwed.
Joey McGuire, I think, is a good coach, but they were like a 7-5 output over there, right? Which is respectable, but not what you want to be. No one before this year considered him like this top 25 coach or whatever. I'm not saying he was a bad coach. People thought he was a good coach, but no one considered him one of the better coaches in the sport. He looked like it this year. I mean, why? Because like, you're going to see when we have the draft here in April, you're going to Texas Tech. It's not, the sports are not rocket science. Look at the Dodgers. Back to baseball.
And 11 personnel slowly devolving into a baseball podcast. Shout out to our presenting sponsor, those Monticello Bank. They love hearing us talk ball. They love taking care of you. Monticello Bank, it's where people matter since 1895. They've got branches all across the Commonwealth. They're here to take care of you for whatever your banking needs may be. Visit them online at nbcbank.com. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Monticello Bank, proud presenting sponsors of 11 personnel. Look, it is a heavy recruiting show today, because we're right in the thick of it. The coaches just spent a month on the road giving us an idea of who they are prioritizing. It's pretty clear. They keep showing up and seeing the same guy, then that guy's a big deal. And they also hosted plenty of players on campus for junior day visits. And today, look at the first commitment of the 2027 class is in. I say that with a slight caveat, because DJ Hunter, he committed over the summer, but he committed to the previous staff. So he's still committed, but it's like, we'll see how this goes. This is Will Stein's first guy, and they got it in Brady Hull. Pulaski County offensive lineman, grew up cheering for the Cats. Now he gets to suit up for them. What did you think when you saw Hull as the first name to cross the finish line and commit to Kentucky, Mr. Luckett?
Yeah, I think, the day Will Stein is hired, if we would have done a recruiting episode and you would have ranked probabilities, like Hull would have been near the top of a guy they could get. I think even the last staff had a more than decent chance to get him. But yeah, I think they did a good job kind of getting that across the finish line as quickly as possible. Interior offensive lineman, Somerset. South Carolina made a big push. Nick, they really went after him hard. Auburn
they were there a couple times.
Yeah,
last month.
Auburn was Shane Beamer made a trip. Auburn was involved this month, and Louisville was also involved there. Um, I think it was his sister maybe quote tweeted his tweet was him. He's 5 years old, wearing a Kentucky jersey or whatever. So obviously, like that was always there. You just had to, build that relationship and get it done, and they did. Interior offensive line prospect here, legitimate prospect, had a bunch of offers, and he's one of a plethora of power conference caliber targets or prospects in general in the state. They were able to get one, and I'll be interested to see here. The biggest commitment wave, I think we've talked about this. If you follow recruiting at all, you know this is really from the time that really Memorial Day weekend, the time that the first official visit starts, all the way up through, I think, 4th of July is the big moment, but through July, you got that 2-month window right there, where that is where most of the commitments happen. But you also see guys come off the board before them, mainly when spring football is going on and around spring games. Historically, how recruiting goes. So for Kentucky, they might have a chance here when these, they got some momentum now. And we've got all the national guys, Chad Simmons, Steve Wiltfong, have got intel that they're sharing on targets that Kentucky sits in a really good spot with, that they're probably going to have a chance to close on a lot of those guys in March, in April, when unofficial visits resume for spring practice. And so I think the Cats are in a really good position here, and getting Hull could start an unexpected commitment wave, because the commitment wave in July is coming. It comes for everyone. But can you get the early commitment wave where you have maybe 8, 7, 8, 9 in the chamber before you get to that big moment? And a lot of QB recruiting is done during this time.
Yeah.
And we're not super sure where Kentucky's kind of going to zone in on. There's a lot of targets on the board right now, but that's something to watch for as well. But getting one guy in here, and of course there's DJ Hunter in the class who's a quarterback already, but you got to think Stein and Joe Sloan and the rest of the offensive staff is going to get their own guy for this class. But a good start for Kentucky after a busy month, and I think a nice reward for what I thought was 2 productive junior day weekends that they had.
Yeah. And, you get the new coach bump, and there's also, we saw it back in 2014 when you go on a little run, and it's a good kind of PR move. USC did this last year, where they hired a GM and they just got a ton of players and really goosed their rankings up for a while. I'm not saying that that's definitely going to be the case, but that's certainly on the table here with as active as they are. We also had the first we mentioned it last episode, all of the newness. There was some more newness we experienced today, because Yahtzee was the calling card there for a while when the old staff picked up its momentum. We had the Wildcat rolling, the giant dice on the field. I mean, there was a lot put into that sort of I don't want to call it a marketing ploy or scheme, but it is kind of a branding element, right? And today we had the clip of the van pulling up to the UK football facility with a package. And I love the suspense of it all, because you're like, what are they doing here? And it's like, what's in the box? What's in the box? And they open up the box, and it's a blue stud finder. And I was like, that's great. That's the good stuff.
I don't know about you, but when that video played and I saw a vehicle pull up, I was like, was Charlie Strong known for driving something at Louisville? That's what I was thinking. I was like, how are they, like, is this going to happen? Because all the other Louisville hires we were expected that have kind of happened, right? That was where my mind was at. Because you got to think there's a special assistant to the head coach hire happening at some point. But yeah, I just think the marketing in general, Stein was going through, like, today they put a video of him, like, basically he's watching highlights.
Yeah.
And it was a reminder that I know he's my age, but he's specifically my age, because he's talking about going to games that I went to as a kid with my grandpa. Like, Like I can vividly remember being at that stadium. Like
Yeah.
it's hitting, and I can vividly remember sitting in the seats we sat in. 126, row 31, seats 7 through 10. I can remember it. And so that was just, that is cool. That was kind of the Pope strategy too. Just give the fans like, here's the nostalgia. Here's a spoonful of nostalgia.
Eat it
for you
up.
to eat right, great. Yeah. And so they're leaning into that, but they're giving, I think, the fan base what they've asked for, right? Which is just
shot in the arm.
Hello, is anybody home? Like, right? Like to market the program, for lack of a better phrase. And they're doing that. And you mentioned the head coach bump. I think people just forget because it happens. But this is what happened in that 2014 recruiting class, where they were number 1 in the country. Remember like in June or whatever when they had all those commitments.
It was like early June. They got it rolling.
And that class ended up not being maybe what everyone wanted it to be, but it gave the program a bump there at that time. And I think down the road did a lot of good for the program going out in the recruiting trail. And I think you're seeing Kentucky trying to take advantage of, the new car smell, right?
Yeah.
They haven't played a game, haven't needed an oil change, haven't had to, we think the tires are going to be just fine. All of that. You got the new car smell, and you got to use that to your advantage, I think, specifically in your first full high school recruiting class. And it's a different world, but high school recruiting, there is money, but it's still like the coaches say something you scoff at it sometime, like Kelvin Sampson talking about today, how Houston has no money. Well, we know that's not true.
Yeah.
But I do believe when they say like high school, like the relationship stuff matters more. Like that does matter because you're not the bigger money conversations are having in the portal. Like there's guys you've got to pay if you want to get them and whatnot, and you've got a budget for that. But I do think the old school kind of building the relationship and evaluating correctly matters in high school recruiting. And so I think Kentucky's got a chance to make a splash, not only get impact players for the, year 2, year 3, but to like change the perception of Kentucky a little bit, specifically in recruiting areas that I think this old staff wasn't necessarily recruiting a ton, like maybe South Florida, Texas, and some other places we've talked about.
Yeah, and I know the 2014 class. You look back on it and you say, well, Matt Elam and Drew Barker, they weren't what we thought they would be. But I mean, Mike Edwards had 300 tackles, was awesome, longtime pro, Super Bowl champ. Denzel Ware was a multi-year starter. Darius West had his injury stuff. He was a multi-year starter. So was Boom Williams. I mean, it produced some quality players, one of which is on the staff right now. Bunchy Stallings is a GA, was an All-American on the offensive line. Juice Johnson, he's top 5 in receiving yards, I think, in UK history. And he brought up one of his kids that he's training up for a visit during junior day, which I was just like, oh, wow. So we've reached that point.
Yeah.
That was kind of wild. I think that's
shout out Poop Johnson. Poop Johnson was in that class too.
It's true. Yeah. I think that's what you're kind of shooting for with this group. Find some multi-year kind of building blocks. Not all of them are going to be hits, but particularly on the offensive line. And it starts with Hull. Let's get into the spreadsheet, Luckett. And let me first tell you about Friends of Cole. Friends of Cole. Cole keeps the lights on. Cole, they're friends of you. They're friends of me. They're friends with everybody. friendsofcolekentucky.org. Cole is resilient, reliable, and affordable. It's been here in the past. Be in the future. Shout out Friends of Cole. They are also friends of KSR. friendsofcolekentucky.org. If Cole keeps the lights on, then so does trench play. They started with Brady Hull. And I think the nice part, like the part that's reassuring, it's not just that they attacked the position in the portal, but there's a lot of nice pieces here like it where I know you're not going to Pokemon catch them all, right? Like that's just the nature of the biz. But they're swimming in the right waters for a lot of players, a lot of guys. And I'm probably going to mix up some first names and last names. Is it Takario Jones or LaMarcus Jones?
LaMarcus Jones.
And then it's Takario, the Phoenix City Central kid. And we're still getting to learn the names.
This name starts with a J, I believe. Jatori, maybe. I'm trying to
Jatori. There we go.
His name here. Yeah, he was at Alabama. Jatori Williams,
Man.
Alabama decommit.
So and that's why we have the beauty of the spreadsheet. If you're not aware of the spreadsheet, KSR Plus, look at spreadsheet is live. It's got all the names, the targets. So when you can't remember their name, you can go look up. Oh, there's Jatori Williams, the guy from Phoenix City Central, who is plans on officially visiting Kentucky.
The main goal of the spreadsheet is one. I do wanted to use this to show people just how like massive an undertaking this is. How many like targets there are. I mean, it is a crazy raw volume number that you're dealing with here, and that you have to, basically do some level of research on, and then get on campus. And it's not just that, just looking at, some of the visit data, like how much it moves, how you've got to make quick, decisive decisions, and also to kind of show people like who Kentucky's battling and what just the options are.
Yeah.
That is really the goal of this exercise. And then at the end, we can all look back and just see how it all played out, see who landed where they visited, how all that worked out, and just kind of put the story together completely. So that is the goal of this spreadsheet. And so, again, we're going to update it multiple times through the cycle. We're going to share it with y'all over there at KSR Plus, and we're going to try to get it to where we can maybe sort and have some other cool features on there, so it's easier to kind of parse through. But
you can look at positions or recruiting rankings or whatever.
Where players are from, like the Kentucky thing, I think is obviously something people are going to want to know, guys from Kentucky. And so we're going to work with that. I just wanted to get it out there. I mainly wanted to get it over to 200, Nick. That's what I was kind of waiting on, and that happened, I believe, over the weekend for me. So, we're up to 229 names right now, and we're going to I imagine by April 1st that gets up over 300, maybe before then.
Yeah. And to your volume point too, it's like, oh, well, there's a lot of quality players at a lot of quality positions. But it's also when everything's wide open right now and you're not really sure how to gauge where players stand, other than, okay, well, this guy, he looks like he's going to take an official visit. So all right, well, this is a serious target, if you will. And I know Jones was one of those, and I believe, gosh, how am I so bad with names already? We just started this, look at. We just started it. Takari, whatever. Yeah, you get the picture. You get the picture. And furthermore, too, not only does Hull check that offensive line box, but he also checks the in-state box. Where like it really is, for somebody who's gone through it, the ringer for this for a long time, this probably is the most power conference players in back-to-back years that I can remember. There was the year where you had like Drake, Cash, and Landon Young, where you had some really kind of high-powered, like, all right, we've got
top
three.
Heavy.
Yeah, there is a depth of talent that is. I mean, Hull is the 10th ranked player, but there's probably 15 guys. I know Justin Rowland went through and had the top 15 guys are probably going to play power conference football.
Well, that's what on 3 has ranked. There's some unranked guys like Xavion Meads at Atherton. There's a pair of twins, the Benke twins, up at Highlands, I believe. Virginia, Purdue, right on them. They're going to go somewhere and play, and there'll be more that I think develop here. So yeah, I mean, I bet there's 20 plus that go power conference from this class in this state, which is unheard of. I mean, just in the internet era, it's the most. I feel comfortable saying that without even doing the research. It's the most.
And then you back that up with Keelan Hall, who's the
is it Kellen Hall or Keelan?
Keelan. I'm really bad at names in this one. If this was a Friends episode, it's the one where Roush messes up all the names. But Kellen Hall is like I think the number 5 overall prospect, number 1 defensive lineman in the country. I mean, you look at that guy and you say, yeah, I get it. He was only a sophomore last year and he was kicking ass at Cal, one of the best players in the country. So there's a lot of opportunity. I think some folks, when they scan through, might be a little disheartened to see some of the early developments. But I would like to add some context to that early development. And what I'm referring to, Luckett, is the guys who committed at the All-American game. Because Allen Evans, Trinity guy, commits to Louisville. Garyon Hobbs, who was at Atherton, he's transferring to Cal for his senior year. Him and Jihad Brown, both at Cal, committed to Indiana. I will not be the guy that just like, oh, call him when it's signing day. But I do want you to understand why it happened. What was yesterday, Luckett?
Yesterday was the late signing period, but which was historically the National Signing Day, first Wednesday in February.
So National Signing Day happens yesterday, and maybe a dozen noteworthy players, if that, signed that were previously uncommitted. Like, it's not what it was. But 10 years ago, give or take, when Vito Tisdale went to the All-American Bowl, it was a big deal. It was all seniors, and there was a good chunk of them that were uncommitted that were waiting to announce their decision at the All-American Bowl. And, this was a big sort of it was big for like 24/7 CBS Sports because this was a big kind of marquee event. And for whatever reason, they always called them declarations, and it just pissed me off because they're the only people that would call it that. But this was a big part of the event. It wasn't just that they got to evaluate these players in person. They made it a commitment show too for, hell, maybe a dozen seniors who were going to sign a week later or 2 weeks later on signing day. Well, now all these guys are already signed. So they can't do any of these draft declarations. So what did that game in 24/7 decide to do? We're going to start inviting juniors, right? Well, we still need these declarations. Okay. So maybe we'll invite this guy if he agrees to commit. And so 3 Chris Vaughn guys all committed at the All-American Bowl. I don't think their recruitment's over. I think it was for the, it's to play the game. They're playing the game right now. Maybe Allen Evans, who, longtime Louisville fan. I think he's got 2 family members that played at Louisville. That one could certainly very well stick. He's a Trinity guy. You see that happen now. But I think the Cal kids are still up for the taking, particularly Jihad Brown. I think that's one that Kentucky could find a way to weasel their way into there. They're certainly going to stay in contact there. And then you mentioned Xavion Meads, the other big kid. He did not decide, but that's another one in the city of Louisville that looks like Kentucky, Nebraska are kind of the early ones battling out for him. So I did just want to get that out there because the game has changed, but there's still some game being played behind the scenes that makes it, got to read between the lines. So.
Yeah, I like where Kentucky sits with Meads. Nick, Hunter Cantwell is the head coach at Cal. Yep. Hunter Cantwell played quarterback at Louisville, recently, Stein era. Doug Beaumont is a receivers coach at Cal. Doug's my age, my grade.
Mm-hmm.
He played with Will Stein.
Yeah.
At Louisville.
Cantwell also Brahms backup at Louisville.
Yeah. There's a little overlap there. Keith Tobridge played with Stein at Louisville. He was over there at Cal. Now he's on Kentucky staff.
Yep.
In a weird way, you can make the argument, I believe, that Stein has deeper connections at Cal than he does at Trinity. And so that's just important, I think, to keep in mind. We're getting real, there's a lot of streams I'm crossing here. It feels weird. But that's where Kentucky is going to be a threat in Cal. And Pete Nocta played with all these guys too, who's Kentucky's assistant GM.
It's also just weird that Cal is as good as they are at football. They did.
But it makes sense. I was thinking about this the other night. Of course they got good, right? It's just just like get your stuff together. Like you've got resources, you've got money.
You're in Middletown. You go hire some former Louisville players. Like that's
and it's not like you've got to go head to head with the big dogs. You're in a lower division. Like, of course you should be good, right? Yeah. But it is crazy to your point that they have like these many. It's crazy for any school to have this many high level players, but that Cal is the one.
Oh, they were the team
that was crazy.
That I still remember trying to get a running clock quick enough on them so we could get on the bus to watch. It was a JV game.
When I was in high school, they were an afterthought.
Yeah,
I think they beat Ballard in the 7th region tournament in baseball, and that was like a huge deal.
Yeah,
my senior year of high school.
Stefan LaFours showed up there probably like 2011 or 12.
Yeah, I was going to say 12.
Yeah, because that was a big when my brother DeSales, when we won our first state championship, my brother was the quarterback, and that was the big rivalry. Basically, whoever won was going to win state, and we got that one. Cal got another one back, and it was even for a while. But those resources, and it works. They get players, and they got some really good ones right now at Cal. That's going to be a school that we're going to be monitoring closely. I think as you expand out, you can see where Kentucky's fingers are kind of reaching. In the greater Louisiana, Texas, and even South Florida, because Keith Tobridge was one of the assistants added yesterday. The other one, Tommy Schuler, Miami native, who put up some silly numbers at Marshall in college, like 3,000-yard receiver over 4 years. He was coaching high school football in Miami, and they just added him. I would think that should be good for some recruiting connections, and we're seeing Kentucky in South Florida more. Since the first grand year, right? But there's some receivers down there that Kentucky is pursuing aggressively, so that's a part of the equation that you can say, okay, we kind of know now, like if it's in the SEC footprint, like Kentucky's going to be involved.
Again, it's kind of the Louisville blueprint, but I don't know how else to call it here. Like that, when Stein was at Louisville, specifically with Charlie Strong, that was where they made their money.
Yeah.
Even maybe we're spending a little money down there with Clint Hurt, but Miami, like that was a big part of their just whole thing. And they Strong staff, to me, Nick, created a pipeline in South Florida that Louisville's even benefiting from now. Like them creating that, like to me, led them to getting Lamar Jackson, even though Strong and all them were gone.
Right.
And then it got them Stanquan Clark, right? It got them TJ Capers, who are on their football, who will probably be their starting linebackers next year. That pipeline is still paying dividends for them today. And I think that's something Kentucky's going to try to maybe establish for them. The January visits, Will Stein was in Miami for a couple days. And, they're visiting with guys like Speedy Jennings, who's at Fort Lauderdale Dillard. There were some other ones, but a lot of him being down there was down there taking pictures with high school coaches and offering 28, 29s, and 30s. So to me, it's a lot of playing for the future. And there was even a couple guys from Boca that visited Kentucky. But a lot of it, I think they're trying to build something moving forward. And then you get someone like Schuler, who's got connections in the area. That's why you bring him on. And he's kind of that's what Joe Price was, who's Kentucky's receivers coach, right? He was a college receiver, high school coach, and then gets a chance, starts working in recruiting and moves his way up. And then, it could be something similar here, I think, for Schuler. And so I think they're going to try to kind of do what Louisville did. I don't know how to phrase it, but that's what it smells like to me.
You know what else it smells like? A frong bomb. We got one today, like it.
I thought those were smellless. I didn't know you could smell those. You couldn't see them coming.
No, you smell them because it's that smells like gunpowder, and then boom, you're dead, and you just got a huge recruit. Hasn't happened yet, but Steve Wilfong, he's pretty good when it comes to predicting, right? That's We talked quite a bit about Seneca Driver. This is going to be one of those wild recruitments to watch. There's going to be a lot of guys involved. It's going to be up and down and all over the place. Well, it's February 5th, and Steve Wiltfong's putting predictions for Kentucky to land the number 1 tight end in America, the number 25 overall player in the country from Boyle County. Wow. I saw that today. I was like, okay, I thought things were going well. I didn't know they were going that well. Whew.
Well, you're at Kentucky. Number one, you're at Kentucky. Boyle County has a top dude. You should have a really good chance to get him if you're operating right. But with that said, Kentucky was way behind here, I think, when Stein got hired.
Yes.
And they made a concerted effort to really push hard, I think, for Driver. Oklahoma, I think, was out in front. Notre Dame was in.
Oklahoma also had a coaching change at that position, too, that might have shuffled the deck for him.
Yeah, definitely didn't hurt, probably.
Yeah, they got Jason Witten coaching tight end.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't know much about Jason Witten, the recruiter. All I know is Jason Witten, the tight end, and Jason Witten, the Monday Night Football announcer. People don't forget.
He just showed up with hair.
Monday Night Football.
He just showed up with hair.
Was that the Booger Mobile era?
I believe so. Was it Steve Levy or was Levy with Brian Greasy?
I can't at all. Wasn't Tess on there one year? Wasn't Tess doing Monday Night Football with Booger?
They really sucked that up there for a while. That was bad.
I mean, the Booger Mobile, it was just people in the stands yelling.
Oh,
I think it was Tess. I'm trying to think who was in the.
That sounds right. That would have been Tess, Witten, and Booger.
Was it Tess, Witten, and Booger?
That sounds right.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, you forget that they just. Well, people don't forget, but you forget that they just cycled through. McDonough was on there 1 year. He did Monday Night Football 1 year, 2 years.
Yeah, so they had Gruden was with McDonough after Tirico left for a couple of years.
Yeah, it was Gruden and Tirico for a while.
Yeah. But yes, we were correct. It was Tess, Witten, and Booger. Then it was just Tess and Booger after a year. And then they did Steve Levy, Brian Greasy, and Louis Riddick. I forgot Louis Riddick was in there.
Yeah, see, I thought that crew did a good job, but they just weren't big enough names for people, I feel like.
Steve Levy didn't have the big game voice. I'm used to him in SportsCenter, and he's a little bit, he did the Bahamas Bowl, right? Like he was a fun guy.
He's a hockey guy.
Yeah. And so that didn't really match out. But like Tess and Buck, Buck and Troy, they have the big game feel to it, the big game sound to it now, which, wow, we just got totally derailed by that conversation.
Well, back to Jason Witten. I'm sure that's not the only time that'll happen throughout his tenure at Oklahoma. But, I think that definitely didn't hurt. Like, I don't know if Jacob Tammy's super involved in Boyle County. I would assume he is. He played tight end at Kentucky. He's really good. Seneca's like the same position.
I mean, Will Stein just coached an All-American who's going to be a first-round draft pick.
That too. Again, Boyle County's been up. It really has been. There's been guys like Lamar Dawson is the one I think of that got away, right? Goes to USC, linebacker who's around like
was he 08. Was he good at USC though? Because
I don't think he ended up.
I remember being ticked off when it happened, but I never really heard from him again.
So again, but most of the time, Boyle County has if you're ranking Kentucky pipelines high school, that's near the top. Football,
I would say them and one of the Highlands.
I mean, think about it. Right. Chuck Smith worked at Kentucky. Yeah. Neil Brown played at Kentucky, coached at Kentucky. And then there's been a bunch of players that come through here. So I just think that's, I think that's probably going to have, I always thought they had a better shot than I think a lot of people thought, at least in my opinion, but that they've closed this fast, I think, because it felt like one where it might have to go to the end and then he might commit somewhere and then Kentucky would have to flip him late kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that they're kind of, charged into the lead, I think is a good sign. It
is a good sign. And from my understanding too, I still remember seeing Driver at a camp when he was like a freshman. He might not even started high school yet.
Yeah,
And
we've been following him for feels like 5 years now.
I mean, Vince was salivating at the prospect. That was sort of a white whale for him. But I actually think it. I think Kentucky's in a better spot without Vince recruiting them right now because his brother I think ended up at EKU if I'm not mistaken, and there was a little bit of I don't know if they handled the situation exactly how the family would have liked them to. So now you get a fresh start, new staff with proven pedigree. It's got a lot of local guys. It feels right. It feels right. Now, the hay is not completely in the barn, and this probably, if Kentucky does get the early commitment, not only would it be huge about your early wave, your new coach bump wave, they'll probably have to ride it out some. Where we're going to have a lot of articles of Seneca talking about other schools who are pursuing him. But hey, play big boy recruiting, you got to play the game. That's how it goes.
Yeah, and I believe Notre Dame was in it too, and Tony Driver is Seneca's uncle. Tony Driver played at Notre Dame, then played in the NFL for a little bit. I believe Tony was at I believe he played in Glasgow or something, and then he moved to Mail and played at Mail. That was a big.
Oh,
you go back in mid-90s, that was a big thing in the city.
Little got a job at the Ford plant.
Yeah, what are you doing over there, Bob Redmond? What's going on over there in Preston Highway?
It's kind of like when Scott County had all those basketball players' parents who started working for Toyota.
I believe that's how that played out. That was pre-internet and all of that. But yeah, those are old. I feel like we're going to be telling a lot of old Jefferson County stories in this new era of Kentucky football.
I mean, the other one too, JT Haskins at Bryan Station. His dad played at U of L, but his dad also played for Pete Nocta's dad, and like coached him and Eric Shelton. They went to Louisville, and then it's all of the.
I say we're crossing a lot of streams here. It's a lot it's like what is going on?
Oh man, it's going to be a wild time, but we're fired up for it. This is the ground level, just getting started, bro. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we talk Super Bowl and get out of here?
I've said it before, but Tony Washington, I think, is doing some stuff.
Okay.
For Kentucky on the recruiting trail. I believe either Chad Simmons or Steve Wiltfong had the blurb about Ryan Jackson, 4-star edge from Annapolis, Maryland, in the shadows of the Naval Academy out there. Mm-hmm. That's a head-to-head battle with Florida, and I believe Brad White is the lead recruiter there for Ryan Jackson with the Gators. So that's one to watch out for. There's a kid in Indianapolis. I believe we've talked about. He was on the first visit weekend. I'm trying to find his name here as I go through the sheet. Sean Fox. They're in on. I expect him to visit here in the spring. I think Kentucky sits in a very good spot. He took unofficial trips to Kentucky and Kansas that we know of.
That was the one that Kentucky visited the day before, and the next day he was in Lexington.
Yeah. Antoine Higgins, Cincinnati. Anderson is another one I think to watch. Missouri, I think, is really battling Kentucky. Indiana's involved for him, and Indiana's involved for Sean Fox as well. But I think Tony Washington's got him in on some guys here. And so I definitely think he's going to get a couple big wins there for Kentucky. So that's just, I think, something to watch here as we move forward.
And Kev pointed out that the UK football account just dropped a teaser of the Super Bowl commercial. We got more marketing in a day than we got in a year. Look, just I got a question for you. I've been thinking about this the other day. Yeah.
Let's just say Kentucky beats Louisville.
Yeah.
6-6, go to some random bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Bush Hamden's still here. I feel like Cutter Bowley's the quarterback.
Yeah.
I feel like all of those receivers are probably back. And I feel like LD Washington's still the receivers coach. But I don't feel like Brad White's on the staff. Yeah. I don't feel like Eric Wolford is on the staff. I don't feel like Chris Collins is on the staff unless they promoted him to defensive coordinator. And I do feel like we were heading towards, you thought last year the recruiting cycle was weird. It was going to be even weirder, I think, this year. And then the portal, I don't know what would happen with the offensive line and all of that stuff. So I was just thinking about that alternate reality. Just what does that even look like? And what does Stoops do if he has to replace all those guys, right? Like, where does that all shake out? That's just
– It's going to get motivated.
That's like the butterfly effect. I think about it, just like what we could have been covering and how upset the fan base would have been, and all that.
That was why it always made more sense, because this is the sensible way to do it. Yeah. Like when something doesn't work, you just unplug it, right? My kid right now, he's a kindergartner, likes to play on the Wii. Sometimes stuff doesn't work. I'm like, just unplug it. Just unplug it, start over, right? I mean, like, it's just
put it back in there.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But you know what? It's better than just sitting there and looking at a blank screen. And that's what would have been this whole offseason. Staring at a blank screen. Just hoping and praying something would have changed. I mean, we might have talked ourselves into it, particularly if they would have won their random bowl game, right? Like, you get some fake juice from that.
It would all just been, the Cutter Bowley Express.
Yeah. You're just betting on Bowley.
Yeah. It just would have been fascinating. Like, how do they even offensive line, how they would have even done it with Wolford, because he would have left at probably the most uncomfortable time possible.
Yeah. Probably right in the middle of the portal. I
mean, right when you're in. I'm trying to think of the big guy that maybe they got. I can't think of that. Seat was later.
Host a press conference 3 months later and say, it's business.
Yeah.
Whew. God, we're not in that alternate reality.
And the other one's junior college. There would have been 6, 7, 8 more junior college players on this team.
Oh, that would have been fun, writing the quotes about how much junior college sucked. Haven't wrote those stories in 10 years. Shout out Lonnie Johnson. Gosh. Whew. Glad we're in this reality, because the alternative reality could have been ugly. This one's a lot of fun. And listen, we all know we're going to have fun this weekend, because the big game is upon us. Pats, Seahawks in San Francisco. And you got to make sure that you're in on the action. The biggest game of the year calls for the biggest boost pack, and BetMGM is rolling out the big game boost pack. It gives you 3 different ways to boost odds on your next big game bet. Here's how it works. You log in, your big game boost pack. It'll be waiting for you. Just add any bet to your bet slip, activate the boost token that you want to use, and once it's activated, you're getting extra winnings on top of your payout if your bet wins. If you want to add a little more excitement to your big game action, make sure you go and grab the big game boost pack from BetMGM. Make it legendary. Look at I've been checking the apps throughout the week, and what I like is they've been given like a little, how sometimes the lines will move a little bit. It's always a little bit juicier, because the team that I took, I got at plus 100. So, something to check in on regularly before the game on Sunday. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM, use bonus code ON3 when you sign up, and you're going to get up to $1,500 paid back in online bonus bets if your bet doesn't win. Here's a good strategy, too. Also, you get 50% off an On3 sub. College basketball, like, you're like, hey, I'm going to spend a lot of Skrilla on the Super Bowl. So maybe I sign up for BetMGM, use this big bet. If it doesn't win, then I'm going to have $1,500 in bonus bets to place on Sunday. See, there's a strategy for you. Use that strategy to win big with BetMGM. Make this big game a legendary. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. U.S. promotional offers are not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in the U.S., 1-877-HOPE-NY, or text HOPE-NY in New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona, 1-800-327-5050 in Massachusetts, 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa, or 1-800-981-0023 in Puerto Rico. First bet offers for new customer only, subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days in partner with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Look, this was a matchup that when it first got set, I was I don't know if clueless isn't the right word, but I was really just kind of wandering aimlessly in the desert on where I should go, which direction I was leaning. But around Wednesday this week, I received some affirmation, and I'm pretty confident where my allegiances lie. I don't like it, but in my gut, it feels like it's what I had to do, and I think you know what that means.
Is this the fade Roush principle? You're telling me to lock it in?
If the Patriots are going to do this again, like I can't keep betting against him. Like I tried to bet against Tom Brady against Mahomes in that Super Bowl with the Bucks, and I was like, "You idiot! Why would you bet against Tom Brady in a Super Bowl? Like what? What? Come on, what are you doing here?" And I feel similarly because it's a lot of it. Like we saw this game, but it was a long time ago. It was 2016. I want to say 10 years.
Yeah, it's 10 years, exactly 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I think it was 11 years. I think it was the 2014 season, 2015 was the Super Bowl. So 11 years. Yeah.
Like nobody from those teams is still around at all. Like it's fresh new blood. Who has experience in a moment this big? Well, I know Mike Vrabel played in a lot of Super Bowls, won some Super Bowls with that organization. That's an organization that knows how to operate when things get a little wonky in the Super Bowl. So I'm leaning Patriots because as much as we have propped up the Seahawks for getting through this juggernaut NFC, I mean, they did, start a route with a kickoff return and then played a divisional opponent. I mean, as good as the NFC was, look at the elements and the defenses that the Patriots played. I think the Patriots I think we downgrade them too much for how they performed in the playoffs. But a lot of it's based on just the defenses they played and the snowstorms that they were basically in for all of those games. So I think that's why I'm willing to upgrade the Patriots more and ride with them, take the points and sprinkle the money on in Super Bowl 60.
Yeah, I think the Seahawks are better, but the trends are real in the bowl. Since 2004, underdogs are 15-7 against the spread, and it covered 5 consecutive Super Bowls dating back to 2020, including winning outright in 3 consecutive Super Bowls and 4 of the last 5. When the spread is 3+, so 3 points or more, the underdog is 13-4 against the spread. It's over the last quarter century, Nick. That's a long stretch of time. Mm-hmm. We've also had, dating back to Super Bowl 30 years ago, Evan Abrams of the Action Network here with this, which is I think this is a great pool. We've had 16 Super Bowls close with a spread of 4.5 or more, which is where this one's at, 4.5.
Yeah.
The underdog is 12-2 against the spread in those games, covering 7 in a row. So, I don't know. To me, that I just can't lay the points at the window with the Seahawks here. That's where I'm at. I props wise, defensive touchdown prop I love.
Yeah. I mean, you feel like you have to, right? Because if it is going to be
kickers over points, both kickers over points, I like a lot. Basically, if you think the defensive slugfest staples like that first quarter under, I would like to see what that number is. And then if a long shot, like non-QB Super Bowl MVP. So pick in your favorite, pick a side you think is going to win, and then just pick whatever player. Pick the running back receiver you want. Whether it's Kenneth Walker, JSN, or if it's, New England. I'm trying to even think who.
I mean, Travion
Henderson, maybe if he, if he busts a run, something,
that's at 8-1, right? Or no, sorry, 80-1.
Yeah, why not? Parlay it. Pat's money line. Travion Henderson, Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah,
and you might as well throw in an anytime touchdown because he's going to get at least one if he wins that.
Yeah,
thing.
I'm trying to look at the first quarter. So the first half line is Pats plus 3.5, and the total's 22.5. I'm not seeing the first quarter right off the jump, but is the total of 45.5? You know me, I love unders, but I do worry that there could be some hinky touchdowns that get that thing over down the stretch. Like that the door will stay open long enough for the over to get there, because that's, 28-24 and you're losing,
Both these coaches would be more than happy to win this thing 13-10 too, though.
Yeah. I mean, that's why it's hard for me to play a side. I'm happy to take the points. I'm happy to do a little money on sprinkle. Do you get exotic with your wagers? Because I did that one year and I broke about even, and it was just like.
No, I'll typically do I'll have one parlay, right? That it's crazy.
Yeah.
Not crazy, but not dumb crazy. Like you could hit
5 legs, boost it.
You feel you feel like you have a good chance to hit it. And then, bet Super Bowl MVP. And then if it's a dog I like, I'll bet the money line. That's dog. I think I bet the Eagles last year. So, I just.
Are you a squares guy?
I used to do squares, but since the things have gotten legal, I'd rather just do the betting that way, right?
Yeah.
Well, I don't need the randomness of a square.
It's one of those things where I just feel because that was my first gambling experience.
Yeah, that's what you do that's what I did forever.
Yeah. It's like, all right, well, I'll get somebody with squares, and even if it was only like a $20 one, I did get a $100 one this year, and it's all 4 quarters. I like where each quarter payout. You see.
My buddies do squares. I don't think I've done it the last couple of years, but it's also like if you go to a Super Bowl party, and it's more fun to do it that way. It's like going to a derby party.
Because
I know you don't do, but we all got the pots for the races.
Right. So who's going to be.
It's social gambling. That's what I call it. There's social drinking. This is social gambling. It's just like everyone's doing it here. Fine. We'll just all watch this together. And it's total luck to me. It's those things are total luck. There's no skill involved at all. It's just whatever.
Because even when you get good numbers,
everyone has a fair shot, I think, to win those. Yeah.
Because you get the good numbers, it doesn't mean they're going to hit. And I've done squares pretty much every year since I was 16, and I hit one 2 years ago, and it was like I won $80. It was of course it was not a big money one, but hey, we've got at least one square winner. Hopefully we get another one this year. I don't really want to see the Patriots do it because they can be pretty insufferable, but I'm still fired up for it. It's exciting. The Super Bowl is kind of holiday's not a right word, but it really is, where everybody kind of stops what they're doing to watch the Super Bowl. Or
most American thing probably all year.
Yeah, Thanksgiving is pretty American in one sense, but there's plenty of thankful or grateful holidays around the world. Nobody does the Super Bowl every year like we do the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you're right on Thanksgiving, but there's some people that may be out of town, don't live with their family. I think there's some maybe some sadness that comes with that. Where Super Bowl, I don't think it's even if you're by yourself, you're excited to watch it, right?
Yeah, and even if you don't care about the football, you have something else to just casually pay attention to. You might want to watch Bad Bunny, or you might want to just watch the commercials, or you might just want to have an excuse to drink on a Sunday night. It's great, it's wonderful, and I'm going to enjoy the hell out of it. I'm looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm. Make some dips. Mm-hmm. Kentucky, Tennessee the night before on the hardwood.
Man, it could be a great weekend. It could also be a really bad one.
The Denim Super Bowl weekend, breaking it all out. What could go wrong?
Yeah, Super Bowl commercial. Kentucky
Super Bowl commercial.
Yeah, Will Stein.
Did they do one last year?
Oh, they did. It was awful. It was so bad.
Wasn't it just generic?
Or they might have had a Super Bowl commercial, but it wasn't. No, they did the Randall Cobb thing. That's what they did.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Play the hits.
What a time last year was, man.
Play the Nets. So it's going to be exciting. We're fired up for it. We're glad that you joined us for 11 personnel. He's Adam Luckett. I'm Nick Roush. Go Cats and go Kroger.